Hello friends and family, and welcome back. Today we are in Harrison, Arkansas, where we'll be visiting the Boone County Heritage Museum. I hear they have something in there that might be of interest to me since I have a connection with it, and so come on in and let's see what we can find.
But before we go inside, let's take a step back in time so you'll get a better idea of what I'm talking about. How many of you remember the Dogpatch USA Theme Park? If you lived in or visited Northwest Arkansas between the years of 1968 and 1993, chances are you visited that park down on Highway 7 just south of Harrison, Arkansas. This quirky little park was built and centered around Al Capp's Li'l Abner comic strips, and for 25 years people loved its cornpone hillbilly humor. From trout fishing to unusual roller coasters and buildings designed to look like they could collapse at any minute, this place was sure to be a treasured memory for anyone who visited. Now, I remember visiting the park a couple of times while we were on one of my mother's travel company trips on our way back to Louisiana from Branson, Missouri. The memories of riding down the side of the mountain in a tram car and seeing all the characters wearing the strange outfits and talking in a way that I had never heard before, that's things that I will never forget. I even got my first kiss there. Daisy Mae gave me a hug, and then when she went in to kiss my cheek, being the sly teenage boy I was, I turned my head fast enough, and there we were, lips to lips. She just joked about it, but I was in heaven. In 1993, shortly after moving to Southwest Missouri, I was hired as the drummer for the Riverbend Music Show that performed in the park. We performed 2 shows daily, 7 days a week, until the fall of that year when the park suddenly closed its doors forever. What a sad day that was. Recently, it was brought to my attention that the Boone County Heritage Museum in Harrison has an entire room full of artifacts that are dedicated to preserving the memories of the park, along with a lot of other things that are related to the area. This building was built in 1912, and from 1912 until 1952, it was the first free high school that was located in Boone County. Some notable graduates were Don Glass, the cartoonist who created Betty Boop, and Gracie Fost, the first U.S. Congresswoman. The first room we enter is dedicated to the railroad. Along with a timeline of the railroad development through the area, you'll find many items the railroad used back then. There are old telegraph machines, some old sticks of dynamite, some railroad chalk, and some spikes and plates that were used to lay the tracks. Next, we enter the Civil War room that was fully packed with things from that time period. And since this building was originally built to be a school, it's only fitting that they have a mock-up of what a classroom would have looked like back then. And if you are ever searching for information on anything or anyone in Boone County, this room is filled with stuff for you to start your search. From yearbooks to newspaper articles, typewriters and musical instruments, to attitude adjusters. Paddles, that is. This room is just packed full of memories. Now this next room is a little scary to me. It's full of medical instruments from the years past. We think going to the doctor these days is scary. Just look at some of the items here. Anyone want to sit in this dentist chair? Take a look at this old gurney. Ever wonder what old-time doctors carried in their medical bags? Or how eye doctors found the correct lenses for their patients? Some of these tools in these displays made my skin crawl. Now this is more of my style, a wall full of cameras and film. The next room is made up of 3 rooms in one. They are each filled with many things that you may recognize. Some of you might still even use some of these items in your house today. Ah, check this out, the man cave of yesteryear. Here we find a hallway full of farming gear. Have you ever used any of these? And here we are. This is the room I've been searching for. Watch closely and see if you remember going home with any of these items in your hand. I know I did. This photograph was taken at the groundbreaking ceremonies on October the 3rd, 1967. The man on the right is Capp, the cartoonist who drew Li'l Abner cartoon strips for newspapers all around the country. Check out the old annual pass and honorary citizen cards. Do you remember Mammy and Pappy Yokum? It was always fun reading the signs throughout the park. Now I wonder if anyone ever really figured out what kind of creature the Shmoo was. I remember hearing people talk about how hard it was to find just the right people to be the street characters for each season. This poster was from the 1982 auditions. Here are a couple of photos showing the cast members for 2 seasons. Check out all these cups and pennants on the table. I remember buying one of those hats just like that. Here's an old photograph of the train and the kiddie canoe ride. Wow! Look at the cost to enter the park, only $5. You once stood behind this sign and had your picture taken, didn't you? Now, I don't recall what this cape was used for. If you have any idea, leave it in the comments below. I'd love to know. This was a cute little show. Kids of all ages loved it. Now, this would have been one beauty pageant to go to. I bet it was like nothing anyone had ever seen before, and most likely, there'll probably never be anything like it again. Here's a letter postmarked June 27, 1969. Back in the day, this was probably the most famous face throughout Northwest Arkansas. You could see these signs like this everywhere. Look at the old map and the flyers for the park. How many of you remember riding the train across the waterfalls and how scary it was as a young kid? Did you ever win a Shmoo or a felt hat with a corncob pipe at the games? Here's an example of one of the skirts that Daisy May wore throughout the property, and some of the drinkware that we used to see on the park. Ooh, pig suey! Now, if you ever watched any of the street shows, I bet you remember this old scattergun. Don't you just love how it was held together with plastic tape? And finally, do you remember getting back to your car to find someone had placed one of these bumper stickers on your bumper? Now, before we go, let's take one more look around the room and reminisce about all the fun times we had at the park. After nearly 30 years of being abandoned, Johnny Morris, the owner of Bass Pro Shops, has purchased the property. He is currently working hard to turn this picturesque property into a beautiful nature preserve. If you've ever been to one of his properties, you know his eye for detail is like one of no other. Once this development is complete, you can rest assured it will be a wonderful place for your family to treasure and make memories that will last for a lifetime, just like you did at Dogpatch USA. The next time you're in Harrison, be sure to stop by the Boone County Heritage Museum and check it out. You may be surprised at what you find.
This episode of Have Fun, Let's Travel was made possible in part by viewers like you. Thank you for your support.